know that I've been doing these affirmations now for probably 20 years. And I
Mhm.
would say 90% of them have manifested. And people are like, how do you do it? I'm teaching you now. This is how I do it.
Power to Live More with Joe Dodds.
Welcome to the Power to Live More podcast, all about productivity, organisation, well-being, energy and resilience. I'm Jo Dodds, and I started this show to enable interesting people to share their stories about how they use their power to live more, and by that I mean to do the stuff that they want to do more than the stuff that they need to or should do. It's about creating a life for yourself where you have the energy, health and space to be happy and fulfilled, spending your time as you'd like, whether that be at work, home or somewhere else entirely. That's your choice.
Hello, my name is Ellie Dodds and I am co-presenter, and today Joe's interviewing Rebecca Whitman. Rebecca is a success mentor, graduate with honours from Princeton University and author of the highly rated books Business, Life, Universe and How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time. She hosts the top 5% globally ranked Balanced, Beautiful, Abundant podcast. Her philosophy divides life into 7 pillars of abundance, which include spiritual, physical, emotional, romantic, mental, social, and financial. She helps people achieve balance within these 7 areas so they can experience more fun and freedom in life. In addition to her appearance as an expert on ABC and CBS, she's spoken on multiple podcasts and has shared virtual stages with great thought leaders like Grant Cardone, Jack Canfield, and Les Brown. Back to the studio. Today I'm interviewing Rebecca Whitman of Balance, Beautiful, Abundance. Welcome, Rebecca. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Lovely. So start by telling us who you are, what you do, and crucially, where you do it.
So my name is Rebecca Whitman. I'm a success mentor and I live in LA. I'm very, very passionate about empowering people to go from burned out and overwhelmed to balanced, beautiful, and abundant. And I do that teaching people 7 pillars of abundance: spirituality, fitness, emotional life, romantic life, mental, social, and financial. And when all 7 pillars of life are in balance, and you can manifest an abundant life in any area. You can manifest health, you can manifest love, you can manifest financial abundance.
Lovely. So tell us where that all came from. It doesn't sound like the sort of thing that you sort of started with. It sounds quite evolutionary. So tell us more about how you got to do that.
It is. I didn't start that way at all. So I grew up, thinking that I had to be this super high performer. And I was a nationally ranked tennis player. I graduated from Princeton University with honors. And I moved to New York City to start, my climb up the corporate ladder. But even with my Ivy League degree, I could only get an unpaid internship. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. There's got to be some payment here. I'm living in New York City. So I started circling ads, and I found an ad in the Help Wanted section that said I could retire in 5 years if I sold these products. And I was like, absolutely, sign me up. So I did not retire a millionaire in 5 years, but I did learn a lot about sales, a lot about time management skills. Fast forward to about 20 years ago, I moved to LA to pursue an acting dream that I had since I was a kid. And I was not able to make a full-time living as an actress, although I did have some great roles in shows like Friends, CSI 24. It was not a full-time living. So I started studying some of the greatest spiritual teachers of our time, like Michael Beckwith, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, Abraham Hicks. And I started to learn a lot about metaphysics. There was one area of my life that eluded me, and that was my love life. I found myself in a very painful marriage that wasn't working out. And as my marriage was slowly unraveling, my dad was slowly dying. So in fact, the 2 events culminated in the same week, where my dad's funeral was on a Wednesday and my divorce was finalized on a Friday. And in my dad's last conversation, he asked me to write something. He said, I don't care if it's a book, an article, an essay, just write something because you have a unique worldview. I had no idea what I was going to write. And I was sitting in my financial planner's office in workout clothes. And he was like, Rebecca, your portfolio is growing, yet you're always in workout clothes. Why don't you write a book and show people how you're living your lifestyle where you can work part-time and make six figures? So it's like, absolutely. So that is the name of my book. It is called How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time. And that's where I came into the 7 pillars of abundance. And I'm happy to report that now my love life is a lot better. I'm getting married this year on December 21st. And so I feel like I'm really living a 360-degree lifestyle, and it's really beautiful. And I'm just so passionate about empowering others to do the same.
Lovely. And congratulations for the 21st of December.
Thank you.
So tell us where the 7 pillars came from, 7 being my lucky number. So I'm pleased you've got 7. Where do they come from?
Just through my studies of what's important to me, and when I look at my life and I'm happy. So after my dad died and got the divorce, of course, I felt the emotion of grief, but I was still high performing. I was still hitting, really high commissions in my sales job. I was still working out and feeling really healthy. I still had beautiful friendships. And I was looking at my life and saying, what are these areas that are making me high functioning and happy? And I divided it into these 7 areas of life. So they're all important and they're in order of priority. So that's why spirituality is first, finances are last. Now, everybody thinks finances are first, right? I'll go out and I'll make a ton of money. Then I'll have the money to hire a personal trainer. Then I'll get in shape. Then I'll have time to meditate. Then I'll go out and I'll meet the love of my life. Then we'll socialize together. So they're in the order of importance for a reason. Mm-hmm. So it's like building a life, one layer of brick at a time.
Yeah, yeah. So you talked about sort of self-study and the sort of mentors that you followed. And I guess that's sort of part of the answer to where did they come from. But how did you sort of convert learning into teaching other people? It's not something that everybody does. Many people look at self-development and follow, gurus and mentors and so on, but not everybody turns that into, a way of working with other people. How did that all come about?
It actually came about when I wrote my book. I was having book signings and book launch parties, and I was speaking a little bit about my book, and many people had questions. And I started just teaching from my book. And then I realized, wow, this is great. I love helping people. I love supporting them and changing their paradigm to be, where they can have more freedom. That's the whole goal of my teaching, is so that people can have freedom. The freedom to do what they want, when they want, where they want, and with who they want. And a lot of people don't have freedom because they're so busy chasing money. So I don't believe that we should live to work, but work to live. And I feel like a lot of people need to hear that message.
Yes, yeah. And how do you work with people? What do your sort of days look like? What's the sort of format, if you like, of how you teach people this stuff?
So I do have one-on-one clients. I also have a really incredible group coaching program called Elegant Warrior Training, where every week for 7 weeks, we do a deep dive into one of the 7 pillars of abundance, and we give people real things they can apply to feel a shift, like tips, tools, and strategies that you can apply today. And so it's a combination. And I just led my first international retreat in Medellin, Colombia, which was, wow, that was so challenging to go there in the pandemic, but we did it. And it was a women's retreat. So it's a combination of workshops, retreats, group coaching programs, and also, of course, my podcast, which is a Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant show. That's another great resource.
Yes. Yeah. So let's sort of pick one or two of the 7 pillars and dig a bit deeper into what that actually means and what people can do with that. I guess we could be here for the rest of the year do it with that, but let's pick some sort of key points for those. So do we start at the beginning, or do you have a favorite, or is the one that's so important for everybody to focus on?
Oh, well, we can start with the first one, spirituality, and then
Yeah.
I'll let you pick another one after that because you know your audience.
Yeah.
So, spirituality is the first one because it is the foundation of having a happy life. So, I really believe that when you're an entrepreneur, when you're working from home, it can be really stressful. And if you are doing it by yourself without having, any faith that there's something out there looking after you, it can be quite overwhelming.
Mhm.
So I believe in setting your day up with a morning practice to just feel that you have something to surrender to, whether it's just your own breath and doing meditation or breath work. You can do prayer, you can write a journal. I have an incredible life-changing journal format that I'm so happy to share with your listeners if they email me or join my web newsletter. So yeah, there's just ways to kind of get your mind right for the day that are really helpful. Some people do yoga. When I start my day off getting connected to the spirituality in my life, that I'm so much better. Now,
Mm.
some people might not even have spirituality in their life. That's okay. Just sit there and breathe or just journal. Just do anything to kind of get out of your head. I like to think of journaling as a brain dump because we have all this free floating anxiety in our head. And if you just write a surrender list, all the things that you don't want to think about anymore that are taking up space in your head that you want to surrender, and that creates a lot of space to actually have a great day.
Mm. And you say not everyone has sort of spirituality. How would you define spirituality?
Spirituality is believing two things. One, that there is a higher power, and two, that you're not the higher power. So
Right.
whether that is the ocean, the weather, a rock star, whatever it is, anything that's not you, because if I'm in charge of everything, then I'm in trouble because I'm only human and I make a lot of mistakes and I don't want that pressure of having to be in charge of everything. I want to be able to surrender. And then the difference between spirituality and religion is for people who believe in heaven and hell, and spirituality is for people who have been to hell and back.
Right. That's one of those sort of phrases that comes out very quickly, and then you have to think what that means.
Right. I can slow it down. So religion is for people who believe in heaven and hell.
Yes.
Spirituality is for people who have been to hell and back.
Okay. And you say that
Because I've been to hell and back. I've had a lot of trials and tribulations in my life
yeah.
that spirituality got me through.
Mm-hmm. So does that mean that those two things are mutually exclusive?
No, not at all. You can do both.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a personal relationship with a power greater than yourself, and you can also go to a church
Mm-hmm.
or a temple or a
Yeah.
mosque and also believe in doctrine. They're not mutually exclusive at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what about those people who would say that some of the stuff that you've talked about, like meditation or whatever, is a bit too, for want of a better word, woo-woo for them? What I think journaling is probably a practical thing that anyone could do without imagining it was something that was a bit too spiritual for them, if you like. Are there other sort of practical things that for those people who don't feel they're ready to be this spiritual person that can sort of get them towards that you would recommend?
Yeah, I would just recommend stretching. You
Mm-hmm.
can call it yoga, you can call it stretching, but when you wake up in the morning, there's a lot of tension in the body. Maybe you slept funny, maybe you just have, an ongoing, sore back or something. So
Yeah.
you could just do a few stretches in the morning and just like literally create some space in your body so you physically feel better.
Mm-hmm.
You could walk, seeing nature and
Yeah.
connecting with nature is always just a great way to clear your mind. So I would say stretching, walking, drinking your coffee or tea, and just making that a beautiful ritual, and just drinking your coffee or tea and just staring out the window at nature. And that's a meditation in and of itself because you're
Mm-hmm.
stopping doing what you're doing. You're not go, 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 checking your phone. You're just stopping. You're drinking your tea and your coffee, and you're just having a moment looking at nature out the window. So
Yeah.
these are all great ways to start your day if you're not into, the woo-woo new age stuff.
Yes, yeah. No, that's some really good examples there. The coffee one I talk about a lot in terms of my sustain fundamental. That ritual of, for me, it's the coffee and reading a book, or coffee in the garden when it's nice weather, sort of thing. So yeah, I really love that one.
You're from England and you drink coffee? I thought everybody drank tea. Now I'm from America drinking tea, and you're from England drinking coffee. Maybe we should do a movie called Trading Places or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I love my coffee, but I do drink tea a bit too. But coffee all the way.
I thought PJ Tips was like a national requisite for England.
Yeah, I come from Yorkshire though, so Yorkshire tea might be the thing I'm supposed to have. But
what is that tea?
Known as being quite strong, and from Yorkshire, which is where I'm from. It's a county.
What's it called? I want to try it.
So yeah, Yorkshire tea. That's
Yorkshire tea. Okay,
Yorkshire tea,
I'll have to add that.
Lovely. So let's talk about one of the other 7 then. Remind me, the last one was finance. What were the other ones?
Fitness, romance, mental, social, financial, and emotional.
Oh.
I know. So much to unpack here in such a short amount of time. Where should we go?
Exactly. How about mental?
Mental. Oh, that's perfect. I love mental. So I have emotional and mental. They're different. Emotional is staying calm under pressure, not letting your emotions get the best of you, not letting other people get you to react, right? Because nobody can make you feel anything. We choose our own thoughts and our own perception. Yep. Mental is mindset. So mindset for being an entrepreneur is so important because it's so easy to get negative. It's so easy to get down and to say, oh, well, I should have been here by this time, and to beat ourselves up. Yeah. So mental is constantly growing, learning, expanding. The people listening to this Facebook or the Instagram Live, the people listening to your podcast, you guys are all expanding your mindset. And this is the golden age of mindset training. There are YouTube videos and podcasts like yours and so many books and just Audible. If you don't have time to read, you can listen to an Audible. There's YouTube videos. There's just a plethora of ways to grow and expand your mind. So that's just one thing. You could also learn a new skill. You could learn to play a musical instrument. You could learn to cook. There's so many ways to grow your mind. You could take a class online or in person now that things are opening up in the U.S. and they will be opening up soon in England, I'm sure. Are they opening up yet?
Sort of. Yeah, supposed to be in 2 weeks, but we'll see.
Okay, good. So there's just so many ways that you can just keep learning and expanding your mind and growing. And our mind is a muscle. There's something called dendrites, which are little wavy things on, the end of the cells. And when you stop learning, they literally shrivel up. If you keep learning, you keep your mind stimulated and you keep your mind high functioning, which is really an important part of being a human. I believe that we can keep learning till our last day on the planet. There's always something to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to cheat and take us back to the emotional one as well, because that point you made about, we're in control of our emotions and no one can make us feel feel bad or whatever. It's something I quote to my 14-year-old daughter all the time. And she always quotes back, well, you say you annoyed me then. And I'm thinking, yeah, I got my language wrong. But just so you know, Ellie, it's so free, it's freeing, the word. It's so impactful when you work out sometime in your life that you are the one that controls how you think about things, isn't it?
It is amazing because that's what differentiates us from animals, is that we get to choose our thoughts. And I believe there are 2 channels, Joe. There's the fear channel and there's the love channel. And this is, not from me, it's from A Course in Miracles, but all the negative emotions come from fear. So irritation, worry, stress, anger, all these resentment, they all come from the fear-based thoughts. And then the love channel, love-based thoughts are happiness, bliss, appreciation, connection, community. All these beautiful things are coming from the love channel. So it's like I think of my mind as a radio station. And when I feel myself getting irritated, getting angry, getting, jealous or, just, pissy, as you say in England, right?
Yeah.
I will change and say, okay, stop. I actually visualize a pause button and I say, okay, stop. And I believe affirmations are a great tool to go from the fear channel to the love channel, but so is gratitude. Gratitude is such an important tool to go, from negativity to positivity on a dime. So those are different ways that you can go from negative thoughts, fear-based thoughts to love-based thoughts.
Yeah, gratitude is something that's really talked about a lot at the moment, particularly in my own sort of space. One of my members, it's the sort of probably the main thing he talks about, and I think it's to people who don't really think about it very much. It sounds so simple. It doesn't sound as powerful as it is. Talk a bit more about what you've seen in terms of when people are expressing gratitude, thinking to themselves about what they're grateful for, what a difference that makes for them.
Okay, so gratitude is so important because it's not just some trite, trendy thing. When we're upset, we're thinking about what we don't have, right? In Buddhism, happiness is not getting what you want; it's wanting what you have. And there's so much that we have that other people don't, that we just take for granted. For example, we just lost worldwide millions of people due to COVID. They couldn't breathe, right? Our breath, just being grateful for our breath, just being grateful that we have all 4 limbs, that we have 10 fingers and 10 toes, that we have food in our cupboards, and that we have a house to live in and a car to drive and a fancy phone to listen to this podcast on, and all the little things. We have beautiful clothes to choose from, and we have family and friends, and we have our beloved pet. And when you start thinking about it, they've done scientific studies, it really shifts your cells, because there is so much abundance that we already have in our lives. And it's just human nature to focus on the goal. And when we focus on the goal, we're so focused on what we don't have. And then we switch to gratitude. And it's like, wow, I do have a great life. There's people that would kill to have your problems, right? Because they're problems of abundance.
So you mentioned affirmations earlier, and sort of much earlier in the interview, you talked about manifesting. Tell us a bit more about those two concepts.
So to me, affirmations help retrain your mind. And you don't want to say affirmations from an angry state, because then they won't work. If you're like, oh my God, I'm manifesting my abundance today, it doesn't work. So you want to get yourself in a happy state relatively, if you can. Like I said, the gratitude list is the fastest way to get there. So do that first, or do the other things we talked about. Drink your coffee, look at nature, do some stretching, do some yoga. But yeah, once you're in a decent mental state, you can start affirming what you want. So one of the things I love about the book, How to Make a 6-Figure Income Working Part-Time, at the end of every chapter, there are 3 affirmations. So I teach how to structure affirmations. You want to say, I am, because whatever you say I am chases you down. I have, you want to claim it as if it's already yours. And I am able to, so you can actually stretch yourself into your next level of ability. So for example, at the end of my book, I know a lot of people who listen to your podcast are business people. I am making a 6-figure income working part-time. That's the I am affirmation. The second one is I have. I have a beautiful, balanced, and abundant life. And the third one, I am able to have the freedom to do what I want, when I want, where I want, and with whom I want. So that's the way I structure affirmation. So if you look at all 7 pillars of life, you can write out 21 affirmations and have 3 affirmations for each of the 7 pillars of life, and just read those affirmations and they will change as your life changes. I recommend redoing them on January 1st of every year and creating the year that you want in the beginning of the year. But this is the beginning of June. So if you're just now, coming into this teaching, when the student's ready, the teacher appears, you can go ahead and write 21 affirmations for how you want to finish the year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then what do you do with those affirmations?
Well, I like writing them on little 3x5 cards. So for each of the 7 areas, I have a different 3x5 card with 3 affirmations on it. And in the morning when I'm drinking my tea and I'm just, relaxing, I'll look at the note cards.
Right.
Every morning I look at them. Some people look at them right before they go to bed because they say it kind of it reprograms their brain while they're sleeping. So either way is fine, either in the morning or at night. But try to look at those affirmations every single day and don't just look at them. Actually feel what it's going to feel like. Like, how is it going to feel to make 6 figures part-time? How is it going to feel to, walk on a beach with your soulmate? It takes just a second. We're so good at using our imagination to visualize what the affirmation will feel like. And your body doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know that you're just using your imagination. It'll actually, oh, wow, I am really walking down the beach with my soulmate, and it starts to, it sounds magical, but it's happened to me in all 7 of those pillars. I've manifested almost everything I wanted. So I still have bigger goals, but that's great. It's great to have goals, but also know that I've been doing these affirmations now for probably 20 years. And I would say 90% of them have manifested. And people are like, how do you do it? I'm teaching you now. This is how I do it.
Yes. Yeah. So given your teaching sort of whole life stuff, if you like, how do you sort of operate your business as part of your life or within your life? How do you prioritize what you're doing? Because I think sometimes when you're talking to people about life stuff, not just business stuff, it can almost sort of bleed into everything you do, because I guess if you're talking even to your friends, you'll naturally talk about this stuff because it's part of you and it comes up in conversations anyway. But how do you do your work and make sure that you're keeping that balance and that it's not all about work and not about, I guess it's a bit of a silly question because it's what you're teaching, so presumably you're living it. But do you know what I mean? It's like I can imagine you go out with your girlfriends and you're having a conversation about their life and you'll go into coach mode, won't you? That's the sort of thing I do.
You know what? I ask people permission. That's why I became a coach, because when I asked myself, what would I do for free, even if I didn't get paid? And that would be to give people advice and my opinion and support them. I just love to do it. So now I ask permission. Is it okay if I offer you my opinion about this, or do you just want me to listen? Or, do you really want my input, or are you just looking for me to be like an active listener? Because if I don't ask first, people feel like, oh my God, I'm just so tired of you coaching me. So I ask permission. And then so my business doesn't bleed into all areas of my life. I really believe in time blocking.
Right.
So, these are the hours that I'm going to work. And I can't even do hours because I have a short attention span. So have you heard of the Pomodoro method?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. 25 minutes of intense focus and then 5 minutes of taking a break. So that is what I try to do. And if I can't do 25 minutes, I'll do 15 minutes. And I actually set the timer on my phone for 15 or 25 minutes, and I just do like a burst of concentrated work, and then I take a break and do something else.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. And what about sort of tools, apps, technology, that sort of thing? What sort of things are you using?
Yeah, that's a great question. Tools, apps, and technology. There's so many, and they're so woven into my life. So Zoom is amazing. I love Zoom. I think Zoom saved the world.
I know. What did you do before Zoom?
I don't even know. We definitely wouldn't be having this conversation from Kent, UK to Los Angeles, USA.
No.
So yeah, Zoom. And then I also believe in like repurposing social media content. So as we're recording this podcast, it's also on my Instagram.
Yeah.
So just repurposing what I share on Instagram and I share on Facebook. Google Calendar is incredible. Yeah, I don't have any super high-tech apps because I'm not like a techie person, but
Yeah.
I would say just the simple ones that everybody uses to do
Mhm.
coaching, Zoom and then social media to promote my business. And
Yes.
yeah, it's really simple stuff that I do. I did start using Slack. Have you heard of Slack?
Yeah, I use that with my members. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm starting to use Slack because now I have so many team members helping me with the various aspects of my business. So Slack is really good for everyone to communicate on the same page.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, that's it as far as technology.
Yeah. And what about making sure you get everything done that you need to get done? You've just mentioned having team members, so there's some outsourcing going on there. What sort of other tips and strategies do you have for getting done what you need to get done?
I don't get it all done every day. And so that is, it's a daily practice to not beat myself up because I want to get it all done. And I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie when it comes to a things to do list. So some people get adrenaline when they like skydive. I get it when I'm checking things off my things to do list. So when I don't get it all done, it's like, so I'm learning just to be forgiving to myself and just, it's more important to follow my own teaching, and it's all about joy. So life is about not getting everything done because we're ultimately going to die, right? To get really deep and existential. So it's about finding the joy in the day. We're not going to look back on our deathbed and be like, oh my God, on that one day in June, I only got 3 things on my to-do list. It's not going to be that. It's going to be how much did I enjoy? How much did I love? How much did I connect? So even though I have a lot to do as a home-based entrepreneur, there's also other aspects of life that I want to make sure I cultivate every day, like love and joy and connection. Mm-hmm. And then I just do as much as I can within the amount of time that I've dedicated to work. And if I don't get it done, I'll get it done the next day. Yeah. I like what Abraham Hicks says, as you can't get it done and you'll never get it wrong. So it's just an ongoing process.
Yes. Yeah. And what about looking after yourself, your self-care? How do you make sure that gets fitted in?
Yeah. So for women especially, I think sleep is really important.
Yeah.
So I believe in getting at least 7 or 8 hours of sleep every night. And that is number one. The second thing is to make sure I prioritize my exercise. So I build my schedule around my exercise. So this podcast was a huge exception because you live in England, but this is normally when I exercise. So I build my schedule around the exercise, and that means I can always get that done. Yeah. The other thing I do for self-care is I drink a lot of water, and I'm running to the loo, as you would say, all the time. But it's okay because I know how important being hydrated is.
Yeah.
And then the real, indulgent self-care is I treat myself to a massage. I will get my nails done, that kind of stuff. I'll get a facial, and it might seem, like a waste of money, but I'm pretty savvy, and I found Groupons, and I found ways to get everything that I want to get done, at a really great deal. So, even if you give yourself a facial, like that is a self-care if you put a mask on and do an exfoliant. So just giving yourself some extra TLC and some extra love is self-care.
I'm just chuckling to myself that when you said put a mask on, I had visions of a mask like we're using for COVID, and I'm thinking, well, how are you going to do a facial with that? And I was like, oh no, she meant the old definition of mask.
Yes, like a mud mask or a clay mask, exactly. Not a surgical mask.
No, funny how the world has changed. Yeah, lovely. As you say, that whole self-care piece is so important, and it doesn't have to be expensive or complicated. It's just carving out that time and being intentional with it, isn't it?
Taking a bubble bath. I mean, that's self-care.
Yes, yeah. I had my birthday on Monday, and it was no coincidence that I had tons of bath stuff from my daughter and husband because I know how much the bath plays a part in my self care.
That is beautiful. How long do you soak for?
Well, not too long because I have really, really, really hot baths. So it's a
Oh,
balance between enjoying the heat and then actually sweating and wanting to get out because it's too hot. It's probably
how
not
many
good for me at all, but I keep thinking, well, people have saunas, so it's just a wet sauna, isn't it?
minutes? How many minutes do you do?
Oh, probably 20 minutes minimum. On the basis that I'm reading a book normally at the time, so it depends on which book I'm in and how long the chapters are.
That's a good amount of time. 20 minutes is lovely. So, and happy birthday, Joe.
Thank you very much. Lovely. So, what about learning and improving yourself? You talked about sort of creating a business out of effectively improving yourself and learning from other people all those years ago. What do you do now to keep sort of up to speed with what's happening?
So, I'm addicted to the app Clubhouse. Have you been on Clubhouse yet?
Yeah, I go on there occasionally. I haven't quite decided whether I like it that much or not yet, but yes, it has some good stuff. I don't really sort of listen to things when I'm working anyway, so I struggle to find time to squash it in.
So, when I do my personal growth, it's just in the background while I'm getting ready, while
Yeah.
I'm like brushing my teeth, washing my face, feeding my dog. I find rooms on Clubhouse where I can learn something. They
Mm,
usually have panels of experts. Like this morning, I was learning about fitness. Other times, I'm learning about spirituality. There's so many different rooms on entrepreneurship. I love podcasts. Like, I'm going to start listening to yours. I'm so excited. I love podcasts. I
yeah.
learn so much from podcasts. Did
Mm,
you know the average podcast listener makes $200,000? So people who listen to podcasts are very successful and they're really wanting to better themselves and become even
mm,
more successful. So I love podcasts.
yeah.
I love YouTube videos and Audible. So I am not someone that takes the discipline to read. That's
Yeah.
also another great morning practice that I
Yeah.
failed to mention. You could set a timer on your phone and say, I'm just going to read a book for 20 minutes every morning and drink your tea or coffee. That's another great morning practice. I
Mm,
have not made the time to read lately. So I really like Audible so I can
yeah.
listen to the books on tape.
Yes, yeah, you definitely sound very audio focused. I'm a bit more the reader, which is, I guess, why I perhaps um, do less in terms of things like Clubhouse. But I've noticed, I've said on the podcast this year that since we've been in lockdown, my podcast listening has actually gone down because to begin with, we weren't going out when were properly locked down, and I'm not very good at listening around the house. So it's interesting how much your activity and the things that you're doing and how you do it impacts some of those things. And like today I went for a walk and I did listen to a podcast because that's when I listen to my podcast. So I just need to walk more, then I'll listen more, and then it'll all will be well.
Yeah, so while you're walking, I don't know, we're not driving a lot yet, but when we go back to normal life, when you're driving,
Yeah, yeah,
when you're doing the things that you have to do that would normally be boring is a great time to listen to
yes,
podcasts or audibles.
yes, yeah, absolutely. So last couple of questions then. What about those days when it all goes horribly wrong? How do you deal with those?
Oh my God, I yell and scream. No, I'm just kidding. When it all goes horribly wrong, I restart my day. So you don't have to just do your morning practice in the morning. I can say, okay, look, this day has gone horribly wrong. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do my morning practice. I'm going to write in my journal. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to meditate. Maybe I'll do some stretching. Maybe I'll just stop and have a cup of tea and just stare out the window and appreciate nature. So I restart my day. I really like a meditation app called Insight Timer app, and you can find a meditation on stress and overwhelm and just sit there and listen to it.
Yeah,
And sometimes I just have to walk away and just don't work, because when I feel like I'm hitting a wall, especially with technology, I had to learn a lot about technology. I wasn't doing any online marketing or online business, and then the whole world went online, and sometimes I hit a wall with not wanting to, play with technology or learn anything. And
yeah,
I'll just walk away, like go walk the dog, go play tennis, like just call a friend, do a FaceTime call with someone, and I just have to stop because when I'm doing something from an attitude of frustration and anger, then it's not going to get done, and if it does, I won't like the result. So it's better just to take a break. I call it a mental health break.
Yes. I like that. And the last one, so those days where you get to live more, and that's where I talk about getting to do more of the things that you want to do and less of the stuff that you don't want to do. What do those days look like for you?
So yeah, I believe in creating your week with focus days and play days. So a play day could be, going on a drive to another town. It could be having a spa day. I know spas are still closed. It could be just doing something fun, going somewhere to go have a picnic next to a lake and just lay in the sun or walk around in a new town and explore, new architecture, new scenery. Just take some time away from your work, because I believe if we just work, we're going to burn out.
Yeah.
And the whole thing I teach is to avoid burnout and overwhelm by structuring your week. So maybe you can't afford to take a whole play day because you're too busy. So take a play morning or a play afternoon and just go on a drive and just break it up. Go to a different restaurant in a different part of town that you've never been in. And there's just different ways to reinvigorate ourselves so we don't get burned out. Because if we do the same thing over and over and over again, that's called a grind. And we do not want to live life as a grind. That's no way to live.
No. Thank you so much, Rebecca. It's been such a good time interviewing you today. Some really great tips in there. Tell people how they can find out more about you and get in touch.
Yes. So how to find out about me is I am on Instagram at Rebecca E. Whitman. I am also on Twitter and Clubhouse at Rebecca E. Whitman. I have a website, RebeccaElizabethWhitman.com. And if you go on my website, I have an amazing quiz. And this is a great tool because we talked about the 7 pillars of abundance. This is a very short 2 or 3 minute quiz, and it'll show you exactly where you're in alignment and where you're out of alignment, so you know what areas of life to focus on. I'm also offering a virtual coffee for anyone who just wants to, talk about their goals and dreams and talk about what's got them stuck. I'd love to offer you some coaching and support and help you get untangled over a virtual coffee, and I'm offering free consults. So that's the best way to get in touch with me is on my website, RebeccaElizabethWhitman.com.
Lovely. I'm just checking, is that a virtual coffee or a virtual tea?
You know what? I am like the rebel in the United States that drinks tea, but everybody else drinks coffee. So I call it a virtual coffee.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you. It was lovely to meet you, Joe.
Attention home-based coaches and consultants. Are you stuck and not getting stuff done? Do you wish you were more organised and had more time to live more? Consider joining the Power to Live More Calm Gold membership to support you in running a home-based coaching or consulting business. You get access to our supportive community, including weekly Zoom calls, accountability, learning materials teaching you online marketing, audience building, income generating, and all sorts of other things you need to run your home-based business with ease, along with materials like templates, checklists, and planners to keep you motivated, organised, and productive. It's time to join the Power to Live More Calm Gold membership. Use the code MY1TRIAL to get the first month for £1, and then it's just £37 a month after that with no obligation to stick around. You can cancel any time.
All this information is available in the show notes, which you can get if you go to that app that you're listening to this on, or on the website powertolivemore.com/ in this case 225. This week, the topic that we were discussing in the Power to Live More Calm Gold membership call was office organisation within the theme for the month of Systemize. And we were sharing the different ways that we use to keep ourselves organised and keep processes moving smoothly through our business by how we set up our offices, whether that be how we set up our desk so that we can keep moving, using perhaps a standing desk or having an opportunity to stand or sit depending on what we're doing. We dipped into talking a bit about habits and routines that fit with that, although that's normally encompassed in the sustain fundamental. But we talked about how we make sure we're drinking enough water during the day or getting up to go and make drinks so that we, as I said, keep moving. Ashley was showing us his new shelf that has his keyboard under it. He bought a new keyboard and it didn't fit under the existing shelf, so he was finding that his desk was getting messy, so he made a new shelf to put the computer on that the keyboard fits underneath. And we were just saying it's about taking away those sort of botherations, those slight things that make life a bit difficult and make things take that much longer to do, so that everything works really slickly and with ease. So the challenge for you for this week is think about your office, think about your desk, think about where you work, think about whether it all fits together and works really smoothly, or whether you've got those little botherations that get in the way and stop you working as effectively and efficiently and productively as you would like. Another request for sharing the podcast. If you know somebody who you think would benefit from the information that we share here, then please do feel free to share the podcast with them. You can find it on all the usual platforms. It's Power to Live More with Joe Dodds. And if you enjoy the podcast and would like to leave us a review, I'd really appreciate it. If you go to Apple Podcasts, then you should be able to review us there. And finally, as we're getting back into the swing of things, moving into the last few months of the year, if you feel that you need some help with your productivity, your digital setup, your tech, how to better systemize yourself, how to better optimize your WordPress website, how to set up your email marketing, all of those sorts of things, then you might want to have a chat with me. All you have to do is go to powertolivemore.com/call and you can book in a strategy call with me where I will ensure that you go away with some valuable information that you can use and implement in your business straight away. There's no obligation to look at working with me in the future. Obviously, we'll talk about that in case that's something that you might want to do. But please do get in touch, powertolivemore.com/call, so that I can share some value with you that will help you in your business right now and get to know you a bit better as a member of my podcast audience. Again, the show notes for this week's show are at powertolivemore.com/225, and we look forward to speaking to you next week.
Use your power to live more.